My fiancée secretly invited her ex to our wedding, so I canceled everything the night before and left her explaining it to everyone alone. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and I thought proposing to the love of my life would be the happiest day of my life. Claire wasn't just a girlfriend to me. She was the person who made the world feel safe. We met 4 years ago at a friend's dinner party, both reaching for the same last slice of pizza. She laughed, said, "You take it, I'm watching my carbs." And I knew right then that she wasn't like anyone else. Our relationship moved fast, but it always felt natural. Dinners that turned into long drives, quiet mornings tangled in sheets, her sleepy "I love you" whispered against my neck. I used to think love was supposed to be complicated, but with her, it felt simple. She made me believe in timing, fate, and all the cliches I used to roll my eyes at when I decided to propose. I planned every detail down to the second. I took her back to the small coastal spot where we had our first date. A worn-out pier with fairy lights strung along the railings. The ocean was calm that night, the air thick with salt and anticipation. I remember how my hands trembled as I got down on one knee, how her eyes widened and filled with tears before I even spoke, my voice shaking. "You're my best friend, my home, and my reason to wake up smiling. Will you marry me?" She covered her mouth, nodded and whispered, "Yes, of course, yes, of course, yes." Then she pulled me up and kissed me like I was the only man in the world. For a moment, I believed I was. Her family cheered when we told them later that night. Champagne flowed, cameras flashed, and everything felt perfect. Too perfect, maybe. Because looking back now, I realize that sometimes the happiest moments are just the calm before the storm. If someone had told me that perfection hides warnings, I wouldn't have believed them back then. After the proposal, life felt like a dream sequence. Cake tastings, venue tours, late-night planning sessions. Claire was radiant, excited, and obsessed with every detail. Or at least that's how it seemed. The first red flag came quietly. One evening, we were choosing music for the ceremony, and her phone kept lighting up with notifications. Each time she flipped it over like it was nothing. When I asked who it was, she smiled and said, "Just friends from college, chill." Her tone was light, but her eyes didn't meet mine. I laughed it off, convincing myself I was just being paranoid another time. We were scrolling through her contacts to send invitations, and I noticed a name I didn't recognize, Ethan. I hesitated. "Who's Ethan?" I asked casually. She froze for half a second too long before answering, "Oh, just an old classmate. Don't worry, nothing weird." Then she leaned in, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "You trust me, right?" And I did. God, I really did. But little moments started stacking up. Late-night smiles at her phone. Girls' nights that turned into unreturned calls. Once, I came home early from work and found her on the balcony, whispering into her phone. When she saw me, she jumped and said she was talking to her cousin. But I could have sworn I heard a man's voice just before the call ended. Still, I told myself love meant trusting through discomfort. She was my fiancée, my future, the person I was building a life with, so I buried the doubt, the unease, the quiet voice in my head that said something was off. I smiled through it all, unaware that each ignored red flag was a piece of the bomb I was helping build, one that would soon explode in my face. At first, I thought it was just me being overly sensitive. But soon, even my family started noticing the shift. My mom adored Claire in the beginning. She'd call her the daughter I never had. But during one of our Sunday dinners, something changed. Claire rolled her eyes when my mom suggested a traditional wedding blessing and muttered, "That's so outdated." The room went awkwardly silent. My mom forced a smile, but I could feel the tension humming like static dot. Later that night, my sister pulled me aside. "Are you okay with how she talks to your mom?" she asked. I brushed it off, saying Claire was just stressed. But the truth was, even I had started feeling a strange distance from everyone, like Claire was building an invisible wall between me and the people who mattered. A week later, while reviewing wedding plans at her parents' house, I noticed she spoke about our wedding as if it was hers alone. "I already told the planner what I want," she said when I suggested a song for our first dance. I wanted "Not We." It hit me harder than I expected. The final straw that night came when her father jokingly asked, "So, will Ethan be coming too?" The air froze. Claire's face paled, then she laughed nervously. "Dad, don't be weird. My chest tightened at the name, but she quickly changed the subject. Driving home, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was being hidden from me, something her family knew but wouldn't say. My sister's words echoed in my head. Are you sure she's the one? I told myself not to overthink it, but deep down, I felt it, a quiet dread, whispering that the woman I loved wasn't the same person who said, yes, on that pier. I was running on autopilot, smiling, agreeing, pretending everything was fine. Claire had taken full control of the invitations. Don't worry, she said one evening. I've got this part covered. You just focus on showing up looking handsome. She said it with a laugh, but her tone was sharp enough to sting. A week later, I came home early from work and found her laptop open on the table. I wasn't snooping, at least, that's what I told myself. But when I saw the spreadsheet labeled Wedding RSVP's final draft, curiosity got the better of me. I started scrolling through the names. Most were familiar family, co-workers, mutual friends, but then I saw it, Ethan Reynolds. My stomach dropped like I'd missed a step on a staircase. The name hit me like an echo I didn't want to hear again. I remembered it from months ago, from that one awkward conversation she'd brushed off. My hands trembled as I scrolled further. He wasn't just invited. He had a confirmed RSVP. When I confronted her later that night, I tried to sound calm. Claire, why is Ethan on the guest list? Her expression flickered shock, then irritation, then practiced innocence. What? Oh, that must have been a mix-up, she said, laughing too hard. My assistant probably added him by mistake when syncing contacts. Your assistant knows your ex's full name and email, I asked, her eyes narrowed. Do you seriously not trust me? She sighed dramatically, pressing her palm to her forehead. You're starting to sound paranoid. This is supposed to be our happy time, and you're ruining it with your insecurity. I apologized again, because that's what love does when it's losing itself. But when she walked away, I glanced at her phone on the counter. It lit up with a message preview. Got my ticket. Can't wait to see you. The sender's name, Ethan. And that's when the denial started to crack. The night of the rehearsal dinner was supposed to be a celebration, a moment to laugh, drink, and exhale before the big day. Instead, it felt like I was walking into a storm I couldn't see, but could definitely feel. The restaurant Claire chose was elegant, filled with soft jazz, dim lights, and the low murmur of guests. Everyone seemed happy, but I couldn't focus. Every time I looked at Claire, I noticed something off. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Her laughter came too easily, and her phone never left her hand. During dinner, my best friend Mark leaned in and whispered, "Man, is she texting all night?" I glanced over. She was, thumbs flying under the table, probably confirming things with the planner, I said. But even I didn't believe it. When I tried to join her conversations, she brushed me off. Relax, babe. Go talk to your groomsmen. I've got this. Her tone was light, but there was an edge, a coldness that felt new. Halfway through the night, she stepped outside to take a quick call. 20 minutes passed. I followed her, nerves buzzing, and found her by the parking lot, her back to me, whispering into her phone. Her voice was soft, almost tender. I can't talk right now. You know how risky this is. Asterisk, when she turned and saw me, she jumped. It's just the florist, she blurted out before I could say anything. They messed up the bouquet colors again. The lie slid too easily off her tongue. I wanted to press Hertz to demand the truth, but every guest inside was smiling, waiting for us to toast. I swallowed the confrontation and went back in. She joined minutes later, laughing, glass in hand, as if nothing happened. Everyone raised their glasses to the happy couple, and I forced a smile. But deep down, I knew something was rotting beneath all that perfection. And tomorrow, I'd find out just how deep it went. That night, after everyone left, the house was unnervingly quiet. The laughter from the rehearsal dinner still echoed in my head, but it felt fake, now hollow. Claire had gone to bed early, claiming exhaustion. I sat alone in the living room, replaying every strange moment from the past few weeks, like broken film reels looping in my mind. Something didn't add up. Around midnight, I went upstairs to grab my charger and saw her phone glowing on the nightstand. Normally, I wouldn't touch it. I hated the idea of invading someone's privacy. But something inside me snapped, the kind of quiet desperation that builds when you've been gaslit one too many times. I picked it up. And there it was, a text preview from Ethan. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, babe. E. My stomach dropped. My vision blurred. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled as I opened the thread. The messages painted a story I didn't want to read. They'd been texting for months long. Emotional exchanges full of what-ifs and maybe we made a mistake. She had been sending him updates about our wedding hour. Wedding, I still think. About what could have been, he'd written a week ago. "I'll always care about you," she'd replied. My chest felt like it was caving in. Every word I read cut deeper than the last. This wasn't some innocent friendship. It was a slow, secret rekindling of something that should have stayed buried. I looked over at Claire, peacefully asleep, the same woman who'd promised me forever. For a long time, I just stood there, staring at her, feeling something inside me die quietly. I didn't wake her. I didn't scream. I didn't throw her phone. I just whispered to myself, I need to know everything before I end this, because tomorrow, I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. The next morning, Claire acted like nothing had happened. She hummed while making coffee, scrolling through her phone, smiling occasionally at messages I now knew weren't from friends. I watched her from across the kitchen island, every gesture rehearsed, every laugh hollow. I wanted to confront her so badly, but I needed proof, undeniable, unshakable truth. While she left to pick up her dress, I grabbed my phone and called Rachel, one of her bridesmaids. I kept my voice casual. "Hey, just double-checking the seating chart for tomorrow." Claire mentioned Ethan's table. Rachel hesitated. "Oh, right. Yeah," she said, "he was flying in tonight. Old friend of hers, right?" Her words hit like a punch. So it wasn't a mistake. She had told them. She had planned this. I thanked her and hung up before my voice could break. My heart was hammering in my chest, but my mind was cold clear, almost eerily calm. I opened Claire's laptop next, praying she'd left something behind. And there it was in her email drafts. "Ethan, can't wait to see you at the wedding. Please don't make it awkward for him. I just want you to see how far I've come. How far she's come." My entire relationship was apparently a performance, a show she wanted her ex to witness. I imagined her walking down the aisle, Ethan sitting there smirking, me standing like a fool at the altar, pledging my life to someone who was still chasing validation from her past. When she got home, she kissed my cheek like everything was fine. I forced a smile back, hiding the rage boiling beneath my skin. I wasn't ready to explode, yet not until I decided how I wanted this to end. And in that moment, I knew the wedding wouldn't happen. But she didn't need to know that. Not yet. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it, her walking down the aisle in that white dress. Ethan sitting among our guests, watching like he belonged there. My stomach twisted at the thought of people whispering, wondering why her ex was front and center at our wedding. The humiliation hit before it even happened. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the ring on her finger as she slept. It used to mean promise. Now it looked like a shackle, one I'd willingly fastened around my own wrist. I wanted to scream, to wake her up, and demand why. But all I could manage was a whisper. Why wasn't I ever enough? At 3 a.m., I went for a drive. The streets were empty, my thoughts loud. I ended up parked near the pier, where I'd proposed the place where I'd believed love was unbreakable. The fairy lights were gone now, replaced by the harsh glow of street lamps. It felt symbolic. I leaned back in the seat and felt something inside me break, not dramatically, but quietly, like a rope that had been pulled too tight for too long. That was my rock bottom. The moment I realized I wasn't just losing her, I was losing myself in the process. I'd built my life around someone who saw me as a placeholder, a man safe enough to settle with, but never exciting enough to stay loyal to Dot. As the sun started rising over the water, I made a silent promise to myself. I wasn't going to be the man who got walked over, pitied, or humiliated. If she wanted a show, I'd give her one, just not the one she expected. Tomorrow, I'd take back my power. By sunrise, something inside me had shifted. The anger had cooled into something sharper clarity. I wasn't going to scream or beg or make a scene. I was done playing the role of the understanding fiancé. Claire wanted control, and the only thing she didn't expect was losing it. So, I made a plan. That morning, I went through the motions, like everything was fine. I kissed her on the forehead, told her I was heading to meet the photographer, and she smiled, completely unaware that I was orchestrating my quiet exit. First, I called the venue manager. "Hi, this is Daniel. I need to confirm the final payment method." He checked the file and said, "It's still under Claire's name, as you requested last week." Perfect. I had moved everything under her account earlier that week when she insisted on being the point of contact. Now that decision would burn her. Not me. Then I canceled my hotel reservation for the wedding night. I returned the rented tux, refunded what I could, and packed my essentials into a single duffel bag. Every zip of the suitcase felt like reclaiming a piece of myself by afternoon. Claire called to gush about how tomorrow will be perfect. I listened, murmured agreement, and told her I'd be home late handling a last-minute issue. My voice didn't even shake that night. As she slept beside me, I stared at her one last time. The woman I loved had become a stranger. She smiled in her sleep, probably dreaming about her perfect wedding day, the one I was about to dismantle before she ever walked down that aisle. I didn't feel guilt, just calm, because by this time tomorrow, I'd be gone. And she'd be left explaining to everyone why the groom never showed up. The night before the wedding, everything felt eerily normal. The house buzzed with excitement, bridesmaids laughing upstairs, her mom fussing over centerpieces, and Claire floating around like a queen on the eve of her coronation. She looked radiant, glowing even, but to me, it was all a show. Every smile felt rehearsed, every laugh perfectly timed after dinner. She disappeared with her friends for a final night of freedom. I stayed behind, claiming exhaustion. The truth was, I needed silence to carry out my plan. I walked into our shared room, sat at my desk, and pulled out a blank sheet of paper. The words came easily. "Claire, I know everything. I know about Ethan, about the texts, and about your secret invitation. You didn't just betray me, you humiliated me. The wedding is off. You can explain it to everyone tomorrow, since you clearly enjoy the attention. Goodbye." I placed the note neatly on her vanity, right next to the engagement ring she'd been so proud to show off. The diamond caught the lamplight, reflecting the promise she had shattered. Before leaving, I took one last look around the house. The flowers were perfect, the suits pressed, the wedding playlist cued. Every detail screamed happily ever after. It would have been beautiful if it hadn't been built on lies. I grabbed my bag, locked the door behind me, and drove away without looking back. The city lights blurred through my windshield, but for the first time in months, my chest felt light as I crossed the bridge out of town. My phone buzzed with new messages, probably Claire texting about some last-minute decoration. I didn't check. I just whispered to myself, she'll find out soon enough. Tomorrow, all right, just not the one she planned. When I woke up the next morning, sunlight was streaming through a hotel window 2 towns over. My phone was buzzing, nonstop dozens of missed calls and frantic texts from Claire, her bridesmaids, her parents. I didn't answer any of them. I just sat there staring at the coffee cup in my hands, strangely calm. By the time the ceremony was supposed to start, I checked social media. My feed was exploding. Guests were posting about the wedding disaster of the year. Someone had uploaded a picture of Claire standing at the altar alone, makeup streaked from crying. The caption read, "The groom vanished." Through mutual friends, the truth started trickling out. Ethan had actually shown up that morning, claiming Claire had invited him personally. When people started asking questions, she broke down and confessed everything. How she wanted to prove something to her ex. How she thought it would feel empowering to have him see her marry someone better. Instead, she got exactly what she'd asked, for everyone saw her for who she really was. Guests left in awkward silence, vendors demanded payment, and her family was mortified. I later heard that even Ethan left halfway through, muttering that he didn't sign up for this circus. Meanwhile, I was sitting in a quiet cafe, watching the chaos unfold through the window reflection on my phone screen. Every message she sent, "Please come back, we can talk, you're ruining my life," went unanswered. I'd already said everything that needed to be said in that letter. For once, I didn't feel guilt, just peace, the kind that comes when you stop fighting for someone who never fought for you. Still, I knew this wouldn't end quietly. She'd try to reach me again, and when she did, I'd be ready to say goodbye properly. It's been 8 months since that day, and I can finally say the word wedding without flinching. The chaos died down slowly, like a storm that wrecked everything, but eventually ran out of rain. Claire tried reaching out for weeks afterward. First came the tearful voicemails, then the angry ones. Her final message said, "You humiliated me in front of everyone." I remember listening to it once, then deleting it without hesitation. She wasn't wrong, but the irony was, she'd written her own humiliation. All I did was stop pretending. The first few weeks after walking away were hard. The silence hit differently when you're used to noise, the constant buzz of texts, the daily calls, the illusion of companionship. But slowly, that silence became comforting. I started jogging again, spending time with my family, reconnecting with the people I distanced myself from while trying to keep her happy. My mom hugged me one afternoon and said, "I'm glad you finally saw her for who she was." That single sentence carried all the validation I'd been craving. For years, I'd been trying to prove my worth to someone who only valued appearances. Now, I was done performing. Sometimes I still catch myself wondering what would have happened if I hadn't checked her phone that night. Would I have gone through with it? Would I be living a lie right now? Those thoughts linger, but they don't haunt me anymore. The truth is, walking away wasn't weakness. It was freedom. Love isn't supposed to make you question your sanity or beg for respect. It's supposed to feel safe. And for the first time in a long time, I do. I still have the ring locked away in a drawer. Not as a reminder of her, but as a reminder of Mayev, the man who finally stopped chasing validation and started protecting his peace. Because sometimes the loudest revenge isn't destruction. It's moving on quietly and never looking back.